Okay, so today I want to talk about the upcoming leadership race for the new Democratic Party in Canada. So, if you were unaware, Jagmeet Singh lost his local running in Ontario, I believe it is. So he lost his seat being the head of the NDP leadership. So, so now we have, and I want to be clear. I voted for Jagmeet 3 or 4 times now. So I I have respect for Jagmeet Singh. I appreciate him and what he offered. Over the years, I found him to become rather feckless, and the NDP as a whole become rather feckless. I feel we've capitulated way too much to liberals and trying to get more people on our side when we should be pushing the envelope to the left and to the left. And if we don't, the Overton window is going to shift, and Pierre Polyev and his stupid dumbass Pierre Polyev is just going to keep on pushing it to the right, and it's going to become more Trumpian and more Trumpian and more Trumpian, and that's what that motherfucker wants. So I'm on the NDP. I'm a registered NDP member, so I get their emails. Um, so this is just an important memo for NDP members that came last month. Hi, Lucy Watson here, National Director of the Federal NDP. In the wake of this year's election, many of you have asked for an update on the path ahead and what we need to do to ensure Canada has a strong NDP. The truth of the matter is this: New Democrats will always work our hearts out to get a better deal for Canadians, no matter how many seats we have or what the polls say. And charting a path to win government is absolutely essential to our ultimate goal of a Canada that works for the people, not corporate profit. We have to advance both these fronts over the next 6 months. And they're correct. We are responsible for some progressive pushes in Canadian history, but as of right now, we have stopped pushing the ticket and we have stopped progressing. We have stopped pushing for better for the worker, for the person, for the working class, for you and me. So where we stand right now. If last spring is any indication, our small but mighty team of 7 NDP MPs will continue to punch above their weight. They opposed Carney's C5 violation of Indigenous rights. They pushed to make infrastructure jobs good-paying union jobs. They resisted C2's move towards a surveillance state that harms migrant rights. They put forward a motion for Palestinian statehood, and they challenged Canada's siding with big bosses in disputes at Canada Post and Air Canada. So most of us are aware. If you're not, Canada Post just recently came off strike, I believe like 10 or 12 days ago, maybe 11 days ago now. In my opinion, I don't know if a singular union striking is going to work at this point. I honestly think if we want to see real change, we're going to have to see the heads of unions organize. And I found, in my opinion, a lot of the unions have become very insular to the point where they're feckless. They're not actually getting the job done that they could be getting if they were organizing in between unions. If we had more general strikes, then it would be, I think, a lot more. It would progress things more, I believe, and especially because unions are supposed to work for the worker, not just the workers of a certain field, in my opinion. So we're going to have to start organizing a lot more between unions and between careers, and we have to start organizing together, because the higher class is tiny. We talk about like the upper 1% of wealth and whatever, and like that, we outnumber them by far tenfold. So we need to start organizing, and we like our voices matter in these types of things, and our unions need to start organizing better. Along with, I mean, my teachers union here in Nova Scotia were on strike when I was in high school. I believe they striked again afterwards. I'm not entirely sure. The Alberta Teachers Union is on strike right now. I'm struggling to understand why. Why is there not a federal union that works for all teachers across the board? I know it's because things are different provincially, and we have provincial school boards and blah blah blah. But if we want to make things better for teachers, what is one province like? I know it makes a difference, but we have the ability to organize the people and not just your immediate community of people. We are powerful together. The people are powerful. So we need to remember that going forward. See more of this, please. Here's more detail on what else has been happening behind the scenes. We launched a review and renewal process for the 2025 campaign. We kicked off the 2026 leadership race. We ran Catherine Swampy against Pierre Poilievre in Battle River Crowfoot. Didn't work. I mean, like, you lost. We rolled out a fall training program for activists and riding associations. We're preparing for the 2026 convention in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So that's where they're going to be announcing the next leader of the NDP. You can donate if you want to. What comes next? Learn, grow, and the next phase of leadership. So following the most recent campaign, the party has an important opportunity and responsibility to review its work. Yes, we had the lowest voting outcome of, I think, in the history of the NDP, which is, where was Jagmeet? Did you see much of him during the campaign? I didn't. Like I said, I have a respect for Jagmeet, but I'm not beholden to him, and I'm not beholden to his leadership. I found he became feckless, and I've used that word a lot, but it's because it is extremely accurate to the situation at hand, especially in terms of the NDP. It's to build on the things that worked and constructively evaluate what did not, with the intention of being stronger and more effective for the next campaign. A comprehensive campaign review and forward-looking assessment of the party's capacity and readiness, led by an independent facilitator. Emily Timan is currently underway. Emily has received feedback from thousands of supporters, activists, members, and volunteers, and met one-on-one with New Democrats involved in the 2025 campaign from across the country. Okay, there's a survey, which I recommend, like, if you're a new Democratic voter and you have something to say and you're annoyed, go look up the website, and I'm sure there's access to the survey there. If not, you can register and become NDP or sign up for the newsletters. Lastly, a thank you, donate, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this was from today, actually. So, okay, dear Brogan, I want to share some exciting news about our upcoming leadership race events. Our first official debate as part of the leadership race will take place in Montreal on Thursday, November 27th, 2025. This debate will help set the stage for the race and provide an opportunity for contestants to share their vision, their values, and the issues they want to bring forward to our members across the country. While full details, including the format, will be released soon, the debate will be held majority in French and live streamed online so members everywhere can take part. We'll be sharing the RSVP link to watch the debate shortly. So, I'm assuming they'll announce another debate shortly in English, just probably not in Montreal. They're starting in French because this is in Montreal. Or you could see, but that's a good opportunity because if you want to lead the NDP, you're basically running to be prime minister, and you need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to communicate to a whole community of a whole section of the country, and even where I live in Nova Scotia, in New Brunswick, in PEI, Newfoundland, up in Cape Breton, there's tons of people who speak French. So, and obviously Quebec, but you need to be able. So it'll be a good way to see if they're able to communicate. I also wanted to remind you of the Leadership Forum hosted by the Canadian Labour Congress, taking place tomorrow, Wednesday, October 22nd, in case you have not had a chance to RSVP to watch online. You can do so here. The leadership race is an exciting time for our party. I encourage you to tune in, ask questions, and help shape the future of the movement together. In solidarity, Mary Shortall, the president of Canada's New Democrats. Okay, so one thing that I'm majorly looking for is what I found with Jagmeet is that he had great values, and every time he spoke about his values and what he believes, I was like, oh yeah, that's great, I agree. What I found was lacking was a plan, policies. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna try and sign into effect? What do you We know every single party is touting affordability. We all know that. What are you going to do about it? We need to, I need to see some plans and policies, because at this point, we can't just run on values. We're Canadians. Pretty much across the board, we all have a good set of values. There are some outliers and Alberta is its own story. But, pretty much across the board, we all have a great, pretty good set of values. So you cannot just tout values and think you're gonna get somewhere with Canadians. We want to see action. We want to see people who are gonna fight for us. And if you're not offering that, you're dead in the water. Lame duck. And look what Jagmeet just produced: the worst voting turnout in history for the NDP. And it's nothing against him, but these are policy issues. And yes, there was a lot of people were just scared of going towards a Maple MAGA type of situation with Polyev. And so a lot of people did just vote vote Liberal to make sure that there was an opposition to America, because it was a very uncertain time, and still is. So I understand that, but if Jagmeet had offered a great opposition, maybe, just maybe, he would have gotten it. So this is the Wikipedia page for the 2026 New Democratic Party leadership. It's been keeping track of it pretty well. So Jagmeet Singh, their election to choose a successor to Jagmeet Singh after he resigned as party leader following the 2025 Canadian federal election. Okay, he led the party through 3 elections. I voted for you, buddy, but it didn't work out. Okay, so these are the people who have registered and have been approved: Rob Ashton, Tanille Johnston, Avi Lewis, Heather McPherson, Tony Mcquail. Okay. And Don Davies is the interim leader right now. I just saw him make a statement recently. Oh, it was just about fucking Polyev with his comments about the RCMP, which is such a dumb ass move to make, because I feel like RCMP is the big backbone of support for conservatives, rural cops. brother, like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Like, I don't know what that man wants. Peter Polyev is so fucking stupid. Okay, so let's go down to candidates. So we have Rob Ashton, Tanille Johnston, Avi Lewis, Heather McPherson, Tony Mcquail. He announced that he's been approved. Yes. Declared, the first person to declare themselves was Yves Engler. I've been following them the whole time. He just has not submitted his formal application to be approved. So he is declared to run, but he just has not been officially approved. Potential people are Ruth Ellen Brasseau, Peter Julian, and Jenny Kwan from Vancouver, British Columbia, and Quebec. And there's also a bunch of people who have declined, like Don Davies, Charlie Angus. He does Maple Midas for the Midas Touch Network. Okay, so I have, like I said, I'm on the mailing list. So I just went through and I looked up every single candidate that is declared or announced or blah, blah, blah. So this is Yves Engler. As you can see, he has, I would say, I think of the two most organized are probably Yves and Avi. They seem like they were ready for this and have been really been pushing their campaigns, which is a good thing. So let's see. Okay, let's go to you. Okay, so Yves Engler is a Canadian writer, political activist, and critic of the Canadian foreign policy based in Montreal. In addition to 12 published books, so he's an author who has written 12 books. I think I have one. I do. So this is one by him, Building Apartheid, Canada and Israel. He has like 12 books. They're all about. I actually have two. I have another one out in the living room, I think. He has written 12 books all about. It's all very critical of foreign policy and especially like our complacency and sometimes capitulation with the U.S. and CIA and what they do abroad and regime changes and all those things. He has constantly criticized the Canadian government, and he announced his intention to run in 2025 in July. He is the nominee of the NDP Socialist Caucus, so he is endorsed by the Socialist Caucus of NDP. He's been trying, like, he is a fervent critic of Israel. He is a, if you want a fighter, I think this man is who you want to run. Engler moved to Montreal to study at Concordia in the early 2000s, where he was elected vice president of communications at the Concordia Student Union. He was suspended from the university due to his involvement in the Concordia Netanyahu riot, which erupted in response to a visit to the campus by then former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And yes, he is currently Prime Minister again. He is leading the charge against Palestine. So this man, Yves Engler, has been literally protesting and rioting for Palestinians since the early 2000s. So he has a very, very good history of advocacy and activism, and I appreciate it a lot. He's been a huge critic of a lot of Canadian leadership, especially in terms of foreign policy. He has a. Let me just look him up. So as you can see, the Black Book of Canadian Foreign Policy, Canada's Long Fight Against Democracy. I'm reading that right now, actually. It's really good if you're neurodivergent, especially because the chapters are like 5 to 6 pages, usually on average. And each chapter is about a different country and how the Canadian government has either been complacent or aided in regime changes or demolishing democracy in those countries. It's a really good read, actually, and it's like quick, like, so every chapter changes to a new country, so it keeps your attention. Stand on guard for whom? It is a people's, what does it say? A people's history of the Canadian military, which House of Mirrors, Justin Trudeau's foreign policy, building apartheid. I just showed you that. Israel and Canada. Canada and Africa, 300 years of aid and exploitation. Left, right, marching to the beat of imperial drums. A propaganda system, how Canadian government sells, what does it say? Government, corporations, and media and academia sell war and exploitation. Canada and Haiti, waging war on the poor. Cars and capitalism on the road. Paved with good intentions. And then one's an autobiography, I believe. So, as you can see, he's very critical of foreign policy. He has a long history of advocating for other, let's say, less fortunate. He is a very big critic of capitalism. You can see Yves Engler for NDP leadership. NDP 2026 is out, economic democracy, land back, co-op housing, shut down tar sands, free tuition, abolish billionaires, liberation for all. It's a blueprint for a generation to come.
Back. NDP 2026 is now out. Land back. Abolish billionaires, housing, economic democracy, liberation for all. It's a policy for my campaign and a blueprint for a generation. Check it out. NDP 2026 is now out. Land
I have
back.
one huge criticism of Yves, and it is, brother, get a social media manager. You needed one like 3 months ago, bro. Like, get a social media manager. Okay, so this is his website. Yves Engler, capitalism can't be fixed. Onward to a socialist future. This is the policy page. Let's see the home. Let's see here. Yves Engler believes the NDP must return to its working class socialist roots with member-driven policy, stronger riding associations fighting for global peace and solidarity, and a progressive economic program that challenges corporate rule and fights for working families and economic democracy. For the billions, not the billionaires. Yves Engler is an acclaimed writer and critic of the Canadian foreign policy, nominated for NDP leader by the Socialist Caucus. His vision, economic democracy, climate justice, land back, and a foreign policy grounded in working class solidarity, not empire. Welfare, not warfare. The NDP must advocate for increasing funding for healthcare, education, and expanding social services vital to day-to-day living of Canadians. We must continue the fight against privatization and deregulation and fight for fully universal pharmacare, dental care, child care, and a national affordable housing program to end homelessness in Canada. Which I agree with all of those. Capitalism's need for endless consumption and profit maximization is threatening humanity's survival. True. We need democratic alternatives, rejection of further climate change and environmental destruction. Eco-socialism is about freely associated labor that produces what Canadians need while considering ecological longevity, which we need because at this point the world is going to burn quick. Economic democracy, not corporate rule. We need to replace the $1 one vote system. With a true democracy, each person vote matters more than their buying power. Economic democracy is rooted in social ownership, workplace democracy, and human well-being. Amen. A solidarity-based foreign policy. Yves wants to fulfill a long-standing NDP policy of withdrawing Canada from NATO and ending billionaire dollar arms sales to dictatorships worldwide. We must end Canada's support for Israel and its genocide in Palestine and promote trade agreements and relationships based on democracy and human rights. I agree, but why? I know that's a hot button issue right now, but why stop there? Like we need to talk about the Congo more. We need to talk about other issues more. Like, yes, Ukraine is really in the news, but that could be talked about as well. Just saying. But it is a really good message, and it's a perfect example because we are witnessing a genocide at the moment. Yves embodies a robust left-wing commitment to democratic socialism. He understands the necessity of structural transformation, affordable public housing, universal pharmacare, indigenous self-determination, closing tax havens used by the super rich, and fostering worker-owned cooperatives to further economic democracy. He also advocates for public ownership and democratic worker control of critical sectors, including auto, banking, and public utilities, to ensure that public benefit and not private profit is central to Canada's economy. That is steeped with some some language that is coded, I would say, which I think it was coded for somebody with political beliefs like me. A more democratic Labour Party. Yves also emphasizes the deepening of the NDP democracy, from policy development to candidate selection, ensuring that the party remains rooted in the communities it serves, not just broadcast from Central Party headquarters. As an ally of the Labour movement, Yves has recognized that a revitalized NDP must prioritize pro-worker legislation, binding sectoral collective bargaining, stronger anti-scab laws, enforcement of pay equity, paid sick leave, and a real living wage indexed to inflation and cost of living metrics. Okay, so, and he also has, I believe, another website where he has like a newsletter or a blog, which is like, brother, come into the 2020s. Come on. Like, you need to get a social media manager, bro. Like, just saying. Sorry. Canada is at a crossroads. Workers, small business owners, and entire communities are being squeezed by rising costs, stagnant wages, and record debt. Housing and food prices have spiraled out of reach for millions, while public services from healthcare to transit are defunded and left to decline, while private sector is waiting to fill a gap at a price. Successive governments, be they liberal or conservative, seize sweeping powers to restrict Indigenous and labor rights and crush democratic protest, which I agree with. I wish our government was set up. I see in New Zealand, they have a section of the government where First Nations are, or what do they use the word Aboriginal. We don't use that in Canada, but they use it, so I'm going to use it. They're Aboriginal people in New Zealand. They seem to have their own section of the government. I don't understand why our First Nations are not given a seat in Parliament. It's kind of confusing to me. I don't know. Or at least some representatives from each, which would be the chief. I don't understand. But either way, We need more Indigenous people in government. We just do. At the same time, the billionaire class has accumulated their wealth from centuries of stealing resources and land from the genocide of indigenous peoples and maintain power to shape society for their benefit. Corporate boardrooms and foreign investors dictate national priorities, while ordinary Canadians are told to tighten their belts. The inequality and injustice is systematic and growing. As a first step, the ongoing nature of settler colonialism necessitates a significant return of land to Indigenous and First Nations from coast to coast. Oh, right. Our platform does not shy away from discussion of class, gender, race, and other social inequalities that pervade our society. We are consciously choosing to lead with ethics and trust that Canadians are willing and able to confront the unequal way our society is structured and continues to operate, which I very much agree with. Some people get nervous when they hear land back. They're like, wait, what? We don't want, what? When we talk about land back movements, usually every time, the most I've ever seen the percentage of land that is being proposed to be given back is like 10% of the land. And most of it is not populated with, so not populated or scarcely populated. So it's not as, people hear it and they like get scared and they get reactionary over that term, but it's not, if you really look into it, it's not that big of a deal. And even if they were getting more, it still wouldn't be that big of a deal. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's not going to affect you. You'll be fine. But it is a big deal to give it back to them, because we still benefit and profit from a genocide of their people on their land. So I think it's just, I think they're owed it at this point. Under Yves Engler's leadership, a reinvigorated new Democratic Party of workers, Indigenous peoples, youth, and all those resisting imperialism will fight to expose the injustices of capitalism. We will champion a bold and unapologetic socialist transformation of Canada, organizing working and oppressed people to dismantle corporate control, give democratic economic power to the working class, and build a society rooted in justice, equality, and solidarity. What I was talking about earlier, organizing working and oppressed people to dismantle corporate control. We need to start, like, this is what I was talking about with the unions. Right now, at this point in time, there is not one sector of the working class or one career that I think is doing well. You know, like, everybody is struggling with wages. Everybody is struggling with workplace practices, like the time and not having sick leave. Every single person almost across the working class is dealing with these issues. We need to organize to a point where we're all going to benefit from a strike. We need to organize to a point where we are all going to make it better for everybody. We cannot just think about ourselves and be insular in this moment anymore. Like, it's too far gone. Like, capitalism is like on steroids right now because it's going to end, and the people are trying to cling on to what they have, but it's not working. And we need to organize and make a better future and be ready for when it does collapse. Because if it doesn't collapse, if it does collapse and we're not ready to recreate the government in a better way that works, and the systematic and corporate structures of Canada, and not only Canada, economically around the world, somebody else is going to come in and it's going to be a fascist, authoritarian, dictator, bullshit, Jewish fucking, what's it called? Jewish fucking, I don't know. What they do in North Korea, or fucking kleptocracy like fucking Russia. Like, we need to be ready for this collapse of capitalism, and we need to organize in order for that to happen. Because if we don't, we don't have power as individuals. We need to group together as the people. Only a radical socialist and anti-colonial transformation will meet the needs of the many and not the few. Period. So this is his whole. We've already gone over Yves a bit. So his website is up, Yves for NDP leader. And you go to the policy section. These are his policies. Fight the billionaires for the democratic control of the economy. Eco-socialism, a workers' first economy. Universal basic services meeting our shared needs. Democratic renewal. Justice, equality, and anti-colonialization. Limiting the capitalist state's power. Peace, solidarity, and anti-imperialism. And we can afford a better life for all. So, see, here he has a organized plan for everything he's talking about. He has ideas, policies planned, all laid out for everything that I was talking to you about in the earlier paragraphs he had. So this is what I'm talking. If you can't tell, obviously, Yves is my pick for leadership. I think he's the most organized. He has the best policies laid out. He's the far left socialist person. He's a fighter, and I think he's the right person for the job. He's a good messenger, and I think, look at this. All right. I just pulled up his. Okay, so Avi Lewis. Avi Lewis he was a news anchor. I forget for which company, but he does have a good history of getting on liberals and conservatives and not interrogating them, but doing his job as a reporter and journalist and taking them to task, and which I appreciate his as well. But one thing that I think he should let go in his campaign run, like he's mentioned it a few times, his father was NDP leader in Ontario, I believe, and forgive me for being a little, I feel a little burned by the last Nepo baby that we had in leadership. His name was Justin Trudeau. Utterly useless. Sorry, but he was completely fucking useless. Things only got worse under him. The only thing he did well was a somewhat good response to COVID, but I mean, compared to the U.S., it was a lot better. So, other than that, I mean, he legalized marijuana. That was a good thing overall, but I mean, it was probably going to happen. It was happen anyways. So, forgive me if I'm a little slow to hop on the campaign for this dude who is outwardly saying, "Oh, my dad is I have a great respect for Pierre Trudeau. I am impressed. A lot of the times, I go back and look at his actions and what things that he did, and I'm often impressed by him. His son was shit. His leadership was shit. His cabinet was shit. Let's be real. We fuck Trudeau. How many of us saw fuck Trudeau signs, bumper stickers, blah 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 blah? He was shit. The only thing, like I said, there was only a few good things he did in the last few months after he said he was going to resign. He was a good opposition to the U.S. and whatever, but it took him 9 years to get there. All right, so let's go to Avi Lewis. So here he's talking about a public grocery option is common sense, which it is. 3 corporations, Loblaws, Sobeys, and Metro, price fix our food. Galen Weston is worth $18 billion. Meanwhile, working families, seniors, and neighbors with disabilities skip meals. That's true. This is textbook market failure. When markets fail to deliver the necessities of a dignified life, government must step in and actually govern. So I'm fighting for a public option for groceries, a new public food system, and grounded in public farmland and supply chains. That puts people before profits, not food banks, not charity. A real alternative that breaks the grocery monopolies. As my grandfather, David Lewis, said when he was NDP leader, the government and big business both hold hands in your pocket. That was true in 1970s, and it's true today. I'm running to break that grip. For some reading this email, rising groceries costs are, for some reading this email, rising grocery costs are a frustration. For others, they mean sleepless nights and impossible choices between putting food on the table and paying rent. This campaign is about using our collective power to build a country where everyone has what they need. So, I actually really like this is a big issue in one of my big issues voting wise is the fact that Canada is a house of cards run on monopolies. Every single big sector of like food, like gas, like air travel, what else? Your phone, your like Wi-Fi, everything is owned by like 3 or 4 companies, and everything is run on monopolies. And that is the reason there's no competitive prices in Canada. There's no we have some of the highest rates of phone bills in the world because there's no alternative. There's no competition. They're all competing to have to get higher, and they just keep on getting higher and higher. The amount that I pay for my phone bill is like $110. My Wi-Fi bill is like $150, and there's a complete monopoly on our power system, especially here in Nova Scotia. There's only one company. That's all you can have, and they have a complete monopoly on it. It's all ridiculous. It's like I said, it's just a house of cards built on monopolies, on market monopolies, and that it literally just exists. It's like a pyramid scheme, and all of us at the bottom get fucked, and all the money goes to the top, and the top is the Sobeys family, Galen Weston, the Irving family, like all those motherfuckers. Anyways. All right. So, Avi Lewis. So, I just want to. What we're gonna see. I've pulled up I've seen everybody's emails that they've been sending out. So this is Yves. When you search up Yves Engler. So this is how many times he's been. Some of these are sometimes he would ask for he would email campaigns because like I was saying, he is very critical of Israel and he's pro-Palestine. So a lot of Zionist people are trying to silence him or make venues not take him, blah, blah, blah. If you know anything about the Zionist playbook, you know what I'm talking about. These. Thanks for writing a letter. Now can you spread the word, keep momentum, blah, 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 blah. So he basically, it was just like a letter campaign he would request. All right. So these are the amounts of Avi, from Avi, and mind you, some of these are just Libby Davies, Miles Crowder, Savannah Wilson. Those are all people announcing their endorsement for Avi. There's 1, 2, 3. So, dear Brogan, life in Canada today feels on the edge. We're not only under economic attack by Donald Trump, there's an even bigger crisis, the everyday emergency for Canadians, just trying to get by in an impossible economy. At a time of enormous stakes for the NDP, I wanted to introduce myself and share with you my uncontainable excitement about the leadership race. I'm running for leader because I think our party has had an opportunity to double down on our historic role. Restore role as the party of the 99%, the party of the workers, the party of progressive social movements. We are the only party that can identify the cause of our shared hardship, the price gouging and profit gorging of the tiny number of corporations that control every aspect of our economy, the fuel the raging wildfires poisoning our air, and we are the only party that can propose clear solutions that are actually as big as the crises we face. I invite you to watch my launch video in which I lay out some of my vision. We need a courageous, inspiring, and unapologetic NDP today more than ever. This political movement, when nation-building projects are on the table, is our opening to offer alternatives with confidence and optimism, to call for Canada to be a force for peace on the world stage, not a society that militarizes at warp speed to please an authoritarian next door. To bring back local unionized manufacturing and offer public option for food, phones, and housing, to massively expand the care economy, the work of education, health, childcare, and elder care that holds our social fabric together, to fight for a Canadian Green New Deal that creates millions of good-paying jobs. It's time for the NDP to return to our roots, fighting a system rigged for the rich that leaves the rest of us behind. We can bring everyone together, dream big again, but put the people's demands to the powerful and win. So, I'll comment in a sec. I'm sure we can watch this launch video. Here.
Life in Canada today feels on the edge. Everyone seeking just a little stability, everyone told, you're all on your own. It doesn't help that we're under economic attack. Disruption grenades flying over the border without warning.
Our 51st day.
But there's an even bigger crisis, one that Donald Trump only magnifies. It's the everyday emergency of just trying to get by in an impossible economy. Whether you're taking care of loved ones, hustling with multiple gig jobs, or punching the clock 9 to 5, working hard doesn't earn you a living. $100 for a cell phone plan? $300 for a cart of groceries? Several thousand a month for rent or a mortgage payment? These days, every politician claims to be shocked by the costs. What they don't talk about is why. The billions in profits for the tiny group of corporations that control every part of our economy. 3 phone providers, 3 grocery giants, 5 oil companies, and the 5 big banks that fund them. And when it comes to those oil and gas CEOs, they're not just hoarding extreme wealth, they're foreclosing on our shared future. Every summer now, wildfires poison the air, incinerate entire towns we love. And you know why it's happening, because liberals and conservatives in Ottawa let them get away with it. In the 1970s, my grandfather David Lewis, one of the founders of the NDP, said it well. The government and big business both hold hands in your pocket. His generation refused to accept a rotten deal. They want public health care, pensions, the whole social safety net that used to catch people when the economy tumbled. That's the tradition of struggle I was raised in. I came of age in the fight against free trade deals. You remember the ones that killed hundreds of thousands of jobs and made us so vulnerable to U.S. bullying today. Along the way, I butted heads with the powerful.
You're going to proclaim NAFTA.
Why you say that?
Prove me wrong then and abrogate it.
I'm telling you, listen to me, Lewis. Let's be finished.
Hold on, Jason. I want to insist that you answer the question. You told the Calgary Herald that you support private health care. I just want to know if the Alliance Party does. You slashed 62 transit routes. You tried to close libraries. You said you'd do it in a heartbeat.
And for 4 decades, I have stood with workers, telling stories of working class heroes, organizing for dignity in factories and fields, classrooms and care homes, shop floors and fishing fleets. Now, I want to stand with you and anyone who believes that the job of government is to goddamn govern. Like with a wealth tax, a national cap on rent increases, public option for food and groceries, healthcare that covers you from medication to mental health, a Green New Deal that creates millions of good-paying jobs. Elites want us to believe that these kinds of changes are impossible. They divide us, turn us against each other, rural against urban, unions against environmentalists, everyone against immigrants. Keep us punching down so we don't look up. But our job as New Democrats is to do exactly that. Bring everyone together. Dream big again. Put the people's demands to the powerful and win. Remind all Canadians that they are the money, but we are the many. My name is Avi Lewis, and that's why I'm running to be leader of the federal NDP.
Okay. So as you can tell, he's extremely good at messaging. So that's a plus. I just feel like it's somewhat of like, not a band-aid, but a bandage on a bullet hole. Like, it still feels like we can make capitalism work for us. I don't know if we can do that, Avi. I know we can't. We can't. It ain't working. It ain't working, brother. It's not. Like, and obviously he's pushing it in the opposite direction of capitalism, which is a great thing. And if this is what I'll take him in the interim. If people are too reactionary at this point to see someone like Yves, who is pushing farther to the left, if this is what Canadians are willing to vote for in the interim while we educate more and try and push things to the left, see how much better things will be, then maybe people will be more on board at pushing it to the left. But as of right now, like, I wish there's parts of his campaign that I really like. There's parts of others' campaigns that I really, really like. There's so many of them that I wish would just like kind of like just merge your messaging and concede one to the other. I know it's like anyways, choisis avis, that's it in French. Okay. And obviously has a really good, he's great on camera, and he is really good at messaging. He's really good at like explaining what he, in simple terms, what is going on right now, especially economically. Okay. Avi Lewis is a Canadian politician, journalist, and activist. Lewis is an associate professor at the University of British Columbia and was a lecturer at Rutgers University. He has hosted several programs for CDTV, CBC News, and Al Jazeera English, including blah, 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 his programs. Lewis directed documentaries. He was NDP candidate in 2021 and 2025 federal elections, losing both times. He is a candidate in the 2026 NDP leadership election. I think that was most likely because, I mean, people in politics, they feel like this, like, strong sense of loyalty. I think we've seen it in the strong sense of loyalty that a lot of the liberals in America have had to Joe Biden, even though, anyways, fuck Joe Biden. Lewis was raised in a political family. His grandfather, David Lewis, was leader of the NDP from 1971 to 1975, and his father, Stephen Lewis, was leader of the Ontario NDP from 1970 to 1978, and served as the Canadian ambassador to the United Nations from 1984 to 1988. Along with his wife and several other activists, Lewis launched Leap Manifesto in 2015. Lewis entered electoral politics by becoming the party's candidate for West Vancouver, the Sunshine Coast, to Sea to Sky Country in 2021 Canadian federal election, and Vancouver Centre in the 2025 Canadian federal election. So, like I was telling you, he is a Nepo baby politician, but he at least has a better history and set of values under his belt than Trudeau, obviously, and he seems very activated and ready to put it in his plans. I'm very much not against him winning. Like, I would not be disappointed if he won. Well, I would be disappointed that Yves lost, but I would not be disappointed that he won. Does that make sense? Like, I'll still take it. Okay, so next on the list, sorry, it's been a while, so we'll go back up and show. So Heather McPherson, she was one of the next to announce, and these, so she has done 3 times, just like Avi. My name is Heather McPherson. I am running to be the next leader of Canada's NDP. I grew up in a large and loud family. My dad was a trucker, and my mom stayed home to look after my brothers and me. My family did not talk about politics, but I always knew that my parents believed looking out for your neighbor, whether they lived next door or around the world. Family holidays were always an important... What? Okay. Important... What do we... What... Wait, like... Family holidays were always an important and busy event for us. I had lots of cousins and family members, always way more people we could fit around the dining room. Cool, same. Like, I don't... So to make sure there was a place for a table for everyone, we would take the doors off. Heather, I can't afford bills. My rent is over 50% of my... It's over 60% of my income. Like, what are we doing? What are you talking about? I don't... What are you... what are you talking about? I'm sorry. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. I'm sorry. We just made space. I'm skipping that because I'm pissed. The idea of making space for everyone stuck with me. It's at the core of what I believe, how I see the world, and why I'm running to lead our party. Okay. I'm running because I believe we have a strong and united NDP with more elected New Democrats. We can deliver with... I'm sorry. I'm not struggling with the words. Just the words being used in this particular order. We can deliver what Canadians need. Good jobs with fair wages now, not in a decade. We need to invest in building big things with Canadian workers and Canadian materials. True. We need to make sure young people can find good jobs and in their fields. True. We need AI to be there when you need it, and we need to reform Canadian laws to protect workers' rights from governments that prioritize helping big business over workers. It's a whole lot of like, we need to do this, we need to do that, but like, what are we going to do about it, Heather? What's up? Like, what are we going to do about it, girl? I'm running because I know how to win. Don't know how to hook an audience. I'm being way too critical, but like that first part just really irked me. Like, this part was cool, and then like this was good. Like, it tells me this little blurb about you growing up, and then it became a 4-paragraph thing. So it just a thought. We succeed when we build together. We need to stay true to our values while we move beyond purity tests, take down our doors, and make space for everyone. That's where we're going, and I have a plan to get us there. Okay? As a member of Parliament for Edmonton Strathcona, I know what it makes to never take any seat for granted. That is very true. She goes in to say, being a New Democrat in Alberta takes grit and hard work. That's true. Being a orange dot in a massively blue province is, you have to be galvanized. It does. Like, especially in Alberta. Like, here in Nova Scotia, we can kind of just keep it to like affordability and that type of shit. But like Alberta, I know what it takes to organize with activists, with unions, and with local communities to build a movement across a bigger region. We have increased capacity, trained leaders, raised monies, and worked to elect more New Democrats. We've done it in Alberta, and I know how we would do it at Okay, I feel like this isn't like an MLM. Like, it's not, but like, you know, when like they're just like saying broad generalities, but like you're like, okay, what? Like, just say like, and in a minute, we're gonna tell you our big tip on our this new tip, and like okay, well, just tell me, and then just keeps on going and going and going. I feel like this is what this is. Over the past few months, I've listened to new Democrats from coast to coast talk about the work you want to see to rebuild our party, from rural Alberta to Hamilton, Penticton to Montreal. Who? Sorry. Vancouver to Halifax and everywhere in between. I've heard similar stories. Okay, I live in Halifax and you weren't here. None of you have come here. Just saying. And everywhere in between, I've heard similar stories. I'm not. And when I say none of you have been here, I mean Yves, Avi, Heather, Rob, Tony, Tanille, any of them. I have not heard anything. I have been paying attention. We have increased capacity, trained leaders. Okay. And everywhere in between, I've heard similar stories. You want more involvement of riding associations, more resources to allow for meaningful organizing, and a party culture that respects local activists. What? Okay, like, the strength of our party becomes from the hard work, dedication, and determination of every member across Canada. I'm struggling with this fucking announcement. You guys, you've told me that you want a party that is bold, progressive, and rooted in fairness, and I want to rebuild that with you. True. But these are just broad generalities. Like, yeah, we're leftists. We all want that. That's what the whole NDP is supposed to be. And I appreciate trying to get it back to what it, like, to put back to, like, pushing the envelope left, but, like, how are we going to do this? Is just like, goodness. If you know anything about me, you know I believe in fairness and justice. Well, I don't know you. These are values New Democrats share. These are values we must unapologetically and unequivocally champion. As a foreign affairs critic for the past several years, I am proud of our party's principled position on global issues. We need to apply to the same lens of human rights here at home with true reconciliation and the fight against economic inequality. So this is actually very true. As a foreign affairs critic, she has made a name for herself, and this is the only time I've ever heard of her. No offense. I'm just saying Canadian politics is not as publicized as, like, some around the world, but she has made a name for herself going pretty hard in the dirt against people and interrogating other politicians about their support of Israel and their funding and, like, what like money they're taking from which pack, which I appreciate deeply. I like a fighter, which I really do appreciate. I think is one of the biggest qualities that I see in her that I appreciate is the fact that she's willing to fight. The only issue is that I don't see much of a plan on how we're going to do that. Like I was saying with Jagmeet, it seems as though we're just getting a lot of values without a lot of policies. And I like your principles, but I want to see your policies. Whether it be people in Palestine, Ukraine, or Sudan, or Canada, we must always support human rights and justice at home and around the world. Nobody ever mentions the Congo. Across Canada, thousands of people can't afford to buy or even rent a home, and thousands more are one paycheck away from being on the streets. Okay. Affordability is, like, the biggest ticket issue for most people, and jobs with fair wages. We're like 8 paragraphs in. Bro, we need to work on the messaging. This is what I'm talking about, is that this is what I was talking about with Avi, is that I like certain things from certain people. Avi is very good at messaging. He's very good on camera. He would be very good in front of a crowd. Heather is a fighter, and I really like that about her. but her messaging kind of sucks. And I get the idea that we probably agree on most things, policy-wise, but I'm not seeing them. Like, I get the idea that I am, but I need more. And I'm not trying to be hard on these people, but you want to be the prime minister. You want to lead. You want to be. You are running to represent the people of Canada. I am not going to go soft on these people. I'm not. If you don't have an effective policy plan laid out, like, I do not want to watch our party go through the same fucking election mess that we just did. That was fucking embarrassing. One, and two, life in Canada is fucking shit, and if we keep on losing to fucking liberals, it's just gonna stay the same forever. And we're all the lower class, not lower class. The lower class is the working class. Like, working class is just going to keep on suffering and suffering, getting worse, and we're just going to come closer and closer to slaves because we're already serfs. Okay. Heather McPherson is a Canadian politician who has represented the riding of Edmonton Strathcona in the House of Commons of Canada since 2019 as a member of the NDP. Blah, blah, blah. McPherson became the new Democratic Party's candidate for Edmonton Strathcona after incumbent Linda Duncan retired. She was endorsed by the Green Party. She was re-elected in 2021 and was appointed the NDP critic for foreign affairs in the 44th Canadian Parliament. McPherson is known for pressing the Liberals to recognize Palestinian statehood, stating they lacked the moral courage and political will to advance a two-state solution between Palestine and Israel, which I tip my hat to you, my lady. McPherson was part of a group of Canadian members of Parliament who traveled to the West Bank and Jordan as a part of a fact-finding tour that involved meetings with Palestinian refugees, diplomatic officials, United Nations aid workers, and Israeli peace activists. In 2022, McPherson, along with Jagmeet Singh, Charlie Angus, and Anne McGrath, formed a new Democratic Party delegation which visited Germany, meeting with Chancellor Olaf Scholz and other leading members of the Social Democratic Party of Germany. In April 2022, McPherson proposed that the Canadian government recognize a genocide of Ukrainians by the Russian armed forces during the Russo-Ukrainian War. The proposal was passed unanimously in the House of Commons, which I don't know. Ukrainians have been cleaning up in that war since then. They've been doing pretty fucking well because Russia, like Trump said, is a paper tire. As foreign affairs critic, she has also supported international nuclear disarmament, which is good. 2025 federal election, McPherson retained her seat in Edmonton. However, she was one of the only few NDP members returned to Parliament as the party lost the majority of its seats in the House of Commons, along with official party status. This led to party leader Jagmeet Singh resigning from his role. He didn't resign. Let's be real. Like, we say that he did resign technically, but he also lost his local riding. Like, he didn't. He lost. He lost federally and municipally, I believe. Despite the defeat, McPherson said that she will now focus on the Liberals living up to the promises that they made to Canadians and ensuring her party will do that. McPherson is a candidate in the 2026 Democratic leadership election, launching her campaign September 28th, 2025 in Edmonton. She is considered like a likely frontrunner in the race. So, my thoughts are: put your principles to paper, Heather. I want to see more policies and plans in what you're putting out. And let's see her website. Heather McPherson. I've seen what it's like when people are left out, and I know the power of bringing people together. I will say she does seem like she would be good opposition, like an opposition leader. I just don't know if we ever get to a point where we're not opposition. What are the policies? Heather McPherson learned her leadership style early in life when her family would take... My God, the table. Heather spent nearly 20 years in the nonprofit sector working for human rights, sustainable development, and global justice with a master's degree in education and focused on Indigenous knowledge and sustainability. She has always been grounded in service and fairness. In Parliament, Heather has taken on the toughest flies from foreign affairs, human files. From foreign affairs, human rights, and international trade to healthcare, seniors, and culture, she has forced government action on building a more peaceful and cool. Okay. So you can become a member, volunteer, meet Heather. Girl, if you no, I'm not listening to your. You took the doors off the hinges. We got it. My God. Okay. So the next is Rob Ashton. So he's up here. He is from off the top of my head. I remember he's a union leader. He's a union leader president. I remember that. Which I love a union guy. My name is Rob Ashton. I'm not a politician. I'm a worker. I spent 30 years on the docks, working long hours, giving up weekends, and fighting to make sure a paycheck stretches far enough. I know that what that struggle feels like because I've lived it. And I also know this. Anger alone won't change things, but solidarity will. Organizing will. That's the power that built the NDP. And it's the power we need to reclaim. Somewhere along the way, working people stopped hearing their voice in our party. That opened the door for liberals and conservatives to pretend they speak for us. But let's be clear. Liberals talk progressive values, then side with CEOs and force workers back on the job. True. Conservatives wrap themselves in hard hats, then hand tax breaks to billionaires while dividing people against each other. True. Neither of them are in it for the working people. They never were. The NDP was created by workers to be our unapologetic voice in politics, to put kitchen table economics first. Jeez fucking Aries. I hate that. I hate this. Like, should take on, just talk about the issues. Like, I'm so tired of this. Just talk about the issues. Talk to me heart. Like, I'm tired of politicians speak. I'm tired of this. Like, just be human. Just be a human being, please. To take on corporate greed, fight for good jobs, affordable housing, and strong public services, and to never back down. That's the leadership I'm offering. Good. What and how are you gonna do that? I'm running because it's time for workers who built this party to lead it again. I'm running because we can flip blue and red seats across the country, not with polished Brother, you just used the terminology kitchen table economics. Not with polished talking points, but with straight talk and solidarity. This campaign is about us, building a party that doesn't just talk about standing with workers, but actually does it. Join me. Let's bring the NDP back to our people who built it and lead it to the next election. In solidarity, Rob. So we have two emails from Rob. This is just an endorsement from somebody. It's been an incredible few days since I launched my campaign to lead Canada's NDP. If you told me just a month ago that an everyday worker running for leader would get this kind of response, I'm not sure what I would have believed you. But after all the interviews, messages, and conversations this week, one thing is clear. Our campaign has struck a chord. People are angry. Angry that they can't make ends meet. Angry that the government keeps siding with corporations instead of working people. But that anger is turning into action. Canadians are ready to build a movement that puts workers first, that fights for fair wages, affordable housing, and dignity for everyone. This isn't just about union members. It's about everyone who keeps this country running, whether you've worked your whole life, are retired, or are just getting by. If you believe in us, chip in to donate. Okay. I might sound like a broken record, but this is the exact same thing with Heather McPherson, Jagmeet Singh. What are you going to do? How are you going to address these things? It's great. Just talking about affordability is great. How are you going to address it? I need to, these are things we need to talk about. Meet Rob. So, let's see if it's. I don't want to just hear about Rob's story. No. God, people about Rob. So he's president of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, which is a plus in my book. But like I said, I'm glad you have good principles. What are your policies? What are your policies? How are you going to go about these things? How are you going to go about affordability? Like affordability is a great thing to just throw out there, but like can we like how are we going to get there, Rob? I need a tab up here that says policies, and I don't see that. Okay, next. Tanille Johnston. So, and I've had Wikipedia pages for some of them. Heather McPherson and Avi Lewis and Yves Engler had one. Some of them just don't have it. Like I said, Canadian politics is not as publicized as America, so you're not going to have Wikipedia pages for everybody. This is Tanille. Okay, here. So, Team Tanille, it's official. Tanille Johnston is running for leader. There's one so far, but October 15th has only been like 6 days since she announced, which you can see. Like, part of the reason I pulled up all of them also is like you can see who was organized and ready to go. This is Eve, started September 19th, and he declared in like July. Let's see, Avi, he was pretty prepared. Only 3 emails, but you can see that like he was ready to go with a campaign video and all of these different things, and he had a lot of good messaging in his thing and his policies that were tangible. Like, how are you going to get affordability? Oh, you're going to attack the monopoly system. That's a really good messaging strategy. That's a really good way of saying this is what I'm running on, and this is how I'm going to do it. We cannot just be speaking in broad generalities anymore. Like, it's way too far gone. So, hi friends, did you see it? We've officially launched my campaign in Nanaimo on the unceded territory of the... Oh, I struggle with Mi'kmaq words, and this is not Mi'kmaq. Snunimuk First Nation, Snunimuk. I have no idea. I'm sorry. First Nation, surrounded by community, hope, and a whole lot of energy. The leadership race is about real change, and this campaign is about more than just politics. It's a grassroots movement that is breathing new life into the NDP. Together we can unite progressives, challenge corporate greed, and take courageous action on climate change. This is our fight, our future, and our time to win. To take this campaign across the country, to reach every member, to share our vision, and most importantly, listen to yours. We need your help. So there's options to donate to the campaign, volunteer, enjoy the team, nominate Tanille. So I celebrate her running because we 1000% need more women in Canadian politics, and we 1000% need more Native people, especially Native women, Indigenous women in our politics. Because as of right now, there's a lot of humongous disparities that are not being addressed properly by our government. And if they're not going to fight for Indigenous women, I implore Indigenous women to stand up and get involved in government and fight for your sisters, because at this point in time, liberals fucking suck, dude. So, Tanille is running to be the next leader of the New Democratic Party. Proud, Tanille Johnston, she, her, proud, legal proud legal dash woman from Mcquail First Nation, a dedicated social worker, mother, and bold new voice for the She's young for all of this. Damn, good for you, girl. And bold new voice for the future of NDP. With over 14 years of experience, she serves as a director of community programs with the First Nations Health Authority and as a city councillor in Campbell River. Tanille's leadership is rooted in action, advocating for equity, building healthier communities, and pushing for institutional change. She's not here to play it safe. She's here to build a movement grounded in grassroots organizing and justice. Join Tanille in shaping more equitable, inclusive, and courageous NDP forward together. Some of Tanille's key priorities in politics are diverse and affordable housing, equitable access to healthcare, protecting the environment, free and accessible post-secondary education, increasing childcare spaces across the board, meaningful and proportional electoral reform, better public transit and alternative methods of transportation, increasing the representation and participation of Indigenous persons in local, regional, provincial, and federal decision-making, which is a big deal, in my opinion. Like, that's a very good thing to run on, because at this point in time, I feel like the reservation system has made it so that it's difficult for some of our Indigenous communities to participate in elections, and to be honest, I wouldn't blame them if they felt it wasn't even worth voting, if it would even make a difference, because like everybody has a big mouth, but they never put their money where the mouth is, especially in regards to Indigenous communities. All right, so this is just about her. Volunteer. So let's watch her video.
Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Catherine Strongwind, and I am Tanille's campaign manager. I'm originally from Winnipeg and now make my home in Souk, BC, and I'm happy to welcome you here all tonight for this very exciting launch for Tanille's bid for federal leadership of the NDP party. To start off, I would like to introduce Elder Sandy Good from Nanaimo First Nation to welcome us to the territory. Thank you so much.
Hi, Pranatna. Today I just wanted to congratulate Tanille. So exciting that she's going to be ready for the NDP party. It's a special day for us within our Indigenous nation to know that she's going to be there having a voice for our Indigenous nation. We want to welcome all the guests, volunteers, to this special occasion this evening to honor Tanille with her campaign that she's going to get started with. It's going to be truly an honor as she moves through the First Nation communities, and I want to say that because she's known to our members and known to our friends, and that it's going to be a special day for us. On behalf of the Nanaimo Chief and Council, I'd like to welcome you to the traditional territory of the Shideva Festival. With that, I'd like to say a good prayer in a good way for you to get started. Sisat Siam, Haichka Tanaquail, Sequam, Lanathat, Atakikalasi, Kankar Christine. Haichka to something at Tanaquail. Sequam, we are slacking at the Latin stuff. Sisat Siam, Sabotakas at Tanaquail, Mcquail, still on the stage. Creator, we give thanks for today, a very special day. We ask that you bring blessings and medicine to each and everyone's table here this evening. Creator, be with us today and every day. Thank you. What for today?
Thank you, Elder Sandy Good. At this time, I would like to introduce Tanille Johnston, is a proud Ligwenthat woman from Wewikai First Nation, a social worker, mother, and bold new voice for the future of the NDP. Tanille has spent her life fighting for equity, justice, and community well-being. With over 14 years of experience as a registered social worker, she currently serves as Director of Community Programs and Services with the First Nations Health Authority, and as a City Councillor in her hometown. She has served on our nation's land committee for nearly a decade before launching into a successful municipal election campaign in 2022 and in 2025 running as the federal NDP candidate for the North Island Democratic Party. Woo!
Is this thing on? Ooh, it's on. Thank you everybody and welcome friends and relatives and those of you online. I have no idea how many platforms we're on social media right now, but I'm sure it's a few. I want to offer my endless gratitude to Sandy for welcoming us here today. She's been a consistent and dedicated voice to health and wellness for our community. I also want to recognize Marina, who's hiding in the back. For standing with me today, Marina has been a pillar of strength and leadership for her nation and is someone that leads with strength and kindness. And to Deacon Mike Wise for honoring me with the opportunity to come here and do this work today on the same First Nation territory. So I'm Tanille Johnston. I'm very proud to be a leader to a woman, a registered social worker, and I'm a parent from Kamatau, which is colonially known as Canberra, BC. Like so many families across the country, I grew up in a working class home. My dad was a mine worker and my mom ran a small business. They taught me what perseverance looked like. That if you work hard and cared for your family, acted with integrity, you could build a good life. But today, too many Canadians are finding that that promise is a lie. We're living in a lifetime of change and uncertainty. The cost of living has soared well beyond reason. The dream of a secure future is getting more and more out of reach. Meanwhile, the wealthiest corporations continue to make record profits and dodge taxes. Instead of building more housing or funding our healthcare system, Ottawa continues to sign off on more projects that will only poison our land and water. From floods to wildfires, communities are going without electricity, food, water, shelter. These struggles may seem distant to some, but they're deeply connected to what we face. A crisis of inequality, greed, and corruption. They are symptoms of unequal systems ruled by capitalism. We live in a country where housing is unaffordable, our healthcare system is underfunded, and that's why I'm running to lead the new Democratic Party. Because I believe that the NDP is ready for a new era.
Yeah, Tanille!
And a different kind of leadership. One deeply rooted in integrity, inclusion, and inspiration. I've spent over a decade on the front lines in community service, in healthcare, in advocacy, and social justice. And I'll continue to fight for free post-secondary education, for healthcare access for all of our rural and remote communities, affordable and accessible housing for every Canadian, and climate projects that defend and regenerate our environment. I know that change only happens when we lead with courage, hope, and optimism, and never forget who we're fighting for. This leadership race is about renewal. We can no longer afford to settle for watered-down promises or wait for Liberals to do the right thing. Progressive voters are looking for answers and action against the greed and corruption that's driving all of this inequality. New Democrats have always been the social conscience of our country. While Liberals break promises, Conservatives continue to cater to the wealthy. The NDP have always fought for the people. From the picket lines at Parliament, we've pushed Canada forward on healthcare, housing, climate, and social justice. The NDP is what makes Canada Canada. And now, we must unite our movement for a future that works for all of us, and not just the wealthy few. Together, Let's bring the NDP into a new era, one that's brave, progressive, and impossible to ignore. My name's Tanille Johnston, and I'm running to lead this party, your party, with integrity, inclusion, and inspiration. Stand with me, join my team, and together, let's build a better future for every Canadian.
Yeah!
Thank you so much for coming.
We Canadians are so bad at pronouncing that second T. Like, I'm bad at it too. When I say, because I'm from the Atlantic provinces, not, but you should say Atlantic. Oh well. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I really like the messaging. I really, she makes me hopeful for a new NDP. I would like to see a little, like I've been saying, she did, and she only announced 6 days ago. She only formally announced 6 days ago. So let's be real. Like, she still has time, and the election isn't until the spring. So all of these people have time. Every single one of them, and they should use it well, because for her, I liked a lot of the things she was saying. I think I would just like a little more, just expand on these things, and maybe, and she probably is working on that. It's been 6 days, like I said, so let's be real about it. Like, she's not gonna, Rome was not built in a day, but I am looking for a little bit of like, if you're ready to go, let's go. Like, I'm like, come on. I'm not waiting. I don't want to wait around. Like, I know that the election is not for a while, but like, I need leadership that is like quick turnaround, and like, we don't want baby incremental steps like the Liberals give us. Okay, so Tony Mcquail. Tony. So, he has not utilized the mailing system, not once. And this is Tony. And yes, he is 175. I'm being an asshole. He's in his 70s. Yes, he is. I don't know about you guys, but I do not want a gerontocracy. Love the spirit, Tony, but at the same time, where do these geriatric men get off running for leadership roles? Like, please go retire. Please go retire. I'm sure you're a very sweet, great man, but at the same time, you're in your 70s. Have some sense. Please. Retire. Like, I can't believe you saw Joe Biden's demented ass walk across that, and then Trump has been demented the whole time. He's deep in dementia. Oh my God. And we're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Do you want to live in a gerontocracy? Do you want to have an elderly prime minister? I don't. I don't think that should be like difficult to understand across the board. So what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Dude. Tony Mcquail's Green Progressive Clan. That being said, I'm not against I just talk so much shit. But like, I'm actually not against what he's trying to achieve. Green Progressive plan calls for bold electoral reform, strong environmental protections, and the unification of progressive and environmentalist Canadian voices. His strategy centers on building a united coalition between the Green Party and the NDP, holding an alliance that will last until meaningful electoral reform to prevent vote splitting is achieved. Tony believes this collaboration can deliver a fairer and more regenerative Canada rooted in equality, equity, justice, and ecological responsibility. So I've been reading for a while. At its best, democracy helps us find our collective wisdom, but for it to work, everybody has to be at the table. Okay, enough. Can we stop talking about the table? So what his main policy he's running on is creating a coalition and basically merging the Green Party and the NDP party, because at the end of the day, we pretty much are fighting for the same stuff, and splitting the vote between the two parties is not getting either of us anywhere, and we've both become feckless. So I'm not against this at all. I think it's a great idea. I think he should shelve it off to one of these other people and give it to them as a campaign promise, and then go play golf or something. Well, he's an environmentalist. He probably doesn't like golf. Oh, God.
Mcquail. I'm running for the leadership of the New Democratic Party of Canada. And this will be a different kind of launch video, because it doesn't matter how many people you have standing behind you or waving signs. The people who decide the next leader are the current New Democrats and the New Democrats. And the New Democrats, we need to reach out to the people who've given up on the political system and stopped voting. And we need to reach out to disillusioned liberals and concerned conservatives. Disillusioned liberals who are tired of the bait and switch of 2015 will be the last first past the post election, or Mark Carney's about face once elected. And the concerned conservatives who believe that civility and community are important and are concerned about the kind of future we're leaving for their children and grandchildren. I'm running as a green progressive because I believe we need to work on what I call my 4 R's. First is representation, because our first past the post system means that we don't have everybody around the table in the proportion to which people support them. We need to cooperate, collaborate, perhaps build coalitions to put forward the green progressive.
Wait. He said 4 R's. He said 1 R and then said 3 C words. He's going to go back into the R's, I'm sure. I'm sorry.
Vision and do it effectively electorally. Regeneration, because I don't care whether you call it the environment or creation or Mother Earth. This is our home, the planet we have to live on. And we are shredding the life support system of that planet that supports us and supports all the other things that connect in the.
My audio is not great, but I'm not running to be leader of the NDP. I'm a federal party, babe. 97 likes.
Web of life on the planet. And then redistribution, because we've had an economic theory and a tax system and decisions. Hi, Eustace, you're part of the reason I'm running. But it's been very good at concentrating the wealth in fewer and fewer hands. But we need to make sure that we actually create a distributive economy. My father was an accountant, and he used to say that money is like manure. It does the most good when you spread it around. So we need an economy that's designed to ensure that everybody has the basic needs and enough, that we support things like healthcare and education and housing.
What, does he have a duck? What the fuck?
Finally, I'm talking about redesign. My 4th R is redesign, because currently we have an economy and a society that's living way beyond the means of the Earth support system. And we need to redesign it so that we live within our ecological creation, Mother Earth limits. I bring to this race over 50 years of experience as a farmer, an environmentalist, and a community activist, and over 45 years of experience as a candidate in rural riding, as a rural organizer. And what we need to do is build from the grassroots up so that we can.
Did he say 45 years as a candidate? So he lost for 40. Wait. I'm not trying to be rude. He said as a candidate. Does that mean you just like touted that you lost for 45 years? That's a good thing. I know I'm an asshole, but like, I think we need to start asking more of our politicians. Like, I'm not an asshole. You are running to not like you are. Hello, my name is Scrutiny Weaver, and I am here to scrutinize, and I will be scrutinizing all of you motherfuckers who want to be leader of the party that I have voted for loyally. Thank you. Next.
Can get a government that supports our communities in creating the kind of green, progressive future that I want to leave. Hi, Imogen. That I want to live to my children.
I know you love your grandchildren, but I don't.
What that I want to leave to my children and grandchildren. And I want to tell you that even without having launched the campaign, but just reached out to people to ask if they think it's a good idea, we already have more than 10% of the money pledged that we need to enter the race. And so I hope you'll visit my website, our website, which is at Tony Mcquail, greenprogressive.ca, that was designed by a volunteer grade 13 student who heard of my campaign and was inspired to come help with it. So please get involved. But at the moment, I need to get off and do my morning chores. So see you in a bit, and hopefully see you on the campaign trail.
Where's the trail?
It's out with the cattle.
I'm rude. I'm just a bad person, I think. I might just... Whew. Unk. Hang it up, bro. Like, I'm so tired of these people. And at least he's trying to fight for a better future. But, like, I'm like... He's talking about, like, oh, I'm fighting for you, for your better future. And he's right, because he ain't gonna be here. So let us fight for let us choose our own, maybe. I don't know. This whole, he's an environmentalist, which I identify as an environmentalist. I think a lot of people do, which is great. And I like the policies he's running on. I'm just I'm like, okay, what else? Like, what else? And also, I don't want a geriatric leader. I'm sorry, I don't. Girl, what is this? Stop Gaza genocide. Well, he's pro-Palestine. Period, Tony. But girl, oh my God. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So that's basically the list, and I've been yapping for almost 2 hours now. So I'm sorry, but if you're still here, I really, really appreciate it. After going through everything, I still am going to support Yves Engler. It seems like the best possible candidate overall. That's all I have. You guys have a good night. If you've made it this far, please like and subscribe.